Know ye not that your body is the temple, bought with a price? I want to talk about standards. That's all right. And a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The way of holiness. And the unclean shall not pass over it. It shall be for those, the traveling men, the wayfaring men, no fools. They will not err therein. It's not hard. It's not hard. A fool can figure this out. So I'm going to make it as simple as I can. And that day there shall be upon the bells of the horses holiness unto the Lord. Understanding what a standard is. A standard is a flag that is held high in battle so that those that are fighting can look and say, they're on my side. It's a visual representation of something much more important. That standard stands for the King. That standard that I salute is the American flag. But what does it stand for? Freedom, independence, people that died on the battlefield. And somebody would trample the standard on the ground and step on it and burn a flag. It's a standard. And we live in a world that has no respect for a standard. But a man that's in a battle and there's shooting going on all around him, and he looks and he goes, there's my flag. I know who's on my side at least. I know who's on my side. There's an old song that says, which side are you on? Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will lift up my hand to the Gentiles. I will set up a standard to the people. And they will bring their sons in their arms, and their daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. And they shall fear the name of the Lord from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord will lift up a standard against him. I heard a man on the radio just the other day speaking to I believe it was the Joint Chiefs of Staff for the Army. And he said, I understand that the laws will be changing. And he said that very soon we will be allowing into our ranks those who are homosexuals. And he said, I understand, and he was speaking to certain high-ranking generals there. He said, I understand that you will change your rule books and you will make accommodations and you will follow the law because this is now the law of our land. But he said, I'd like to ask you a question. And he asked a particular general, he says, don't we have a height requirement for this particular group? They said, yes, if you're too short, you can't be in there. And he says to another one, he says, don't we have a requirement for physical health for this other group? He says, if a man will not maintain his health, doesn't he have to leave? He can't be in that group. And they said, yes, that is correct. And he says, don't we have another, and they use the word standard. Don't we have another standard on hair in the military? He said, I don't doubt that a man could fight and die for this country with a ponytail. But he says, we are a society of standards. Church, we are a society of standards. I don't say this to convince you to just clean up the outside. If that's what you think I'm teaching, you haven't been listening to me. But as your heart becomes pure, it's so easy to see who's on my side. And you know what I'm talking about. When you see something and you feel crushed, it's like, I didn't know. I remember as a young Christian trying my best to live a Pentecostal life, and that there were those who lived the double standard. You catch that double standard? It nearly destroyed me until I found out that they're struggling just like me. And I wasn't to judge them, but it caused confusion. It caused confusion in the battle. The Lord will lift up a standard go through the gates, prepare the way of the people, cast up the highway, gather the stones, lift up a standard for the people. Lift up a standard. I'm talking about standards. Present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. It says that you be preserved holy, spirit, soul, and body. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Do I need to say anything else? Nor print any marks upon you. I'm the Lord. I've got a lot of dear friends that have a lot of piercings. And I've got a lot of dear friends that have a lot of tattoos. But when a person gives their heart to the Lord, they probably should stop that. That doesn't mean that they got to get rid of it, but they probably should stop that. Sociologists tell us it's an interesting thing that we are living in an age today where our young people are taking on some attributes of what they thought were primitive societies with the severe cutting of the flesh. Things that they saw in cultures that were not civilized. And why is that? It's indicative, Mark, there's a big word. It's indicative of a society with a very, very broken heart. Young people that cut themselves for pain. Why do they do that? Why do they mark themselves like this? Should we preach against this? No. We should preach against the heart that is so sinful and it's been so destroyed. And Jesus on the inside can help these people. Judging yourself, is it comely that a woman pray to God uncovered? Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him? Recognize that dude? No, that's Mel. But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory for her hair is given her for a covering. And as a young man, I said, Lord, if you really don't want me to have that, take it away. I am proof. The woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man. Neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto the Lord thy God. The reason I talked about the sexual immorality in our society and the crossing and the blending of the genders, there's a reason for that. It's coming and going two different directions. Our society has lost sight of what is a man and what is a woman. Our children have no standard that they can look to, except the bathroom. This is the only place in our society where we remember what is a man and what is a woman. And it's interesting how they identify the two. Isn't it? I want also the women to be modest and sensible about